Oh, oh, yeah. So I don't understand that deal, how they can be 2 years and no one's ever see it.
It happens a lot, unfortunately.
I think I'd want to be one of those supervisors and try to explain that.
Yeah.
You want one more?
I got one.
Okay.
See, the snow geese are heading north, so pelicans are down at the. Down at the Winnie, somebody had on, yeah, so
Where did they see him?
down at the Winneshiek and Prairie. They seen a bunch of snow geese just south of New Hampton there yesterday when we came home. Oh, cornfield.
That's
So funny to watch
Hospital
fly.
break.
They don't look light enough to be in the air, do they?
And they're a long ways up there, you can barely see them when they're.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll stop over in Cardinal March, so you can see them a little more up close. Usually about 13 to 15 of them. Morning, Zach.
Good.
Doing okay.
Good. Town hall meetings. Town hall meetings must have been last month.
Oh.
Everybody.
I didn't get that far yet.
They got their raise, it looks like. Or what did we up at? Still 50 there. Must not have went into effect. Maybe that's not till physical years.
Morning.
At least we shouldn't have to worry about anybody busting up.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Must have gone away.
Get through this month.
Especially in the 70s in Des Moines. Was weird. I don't know yet. I don't want to get there too late.
Or too early.
No, I don't want to, not even super early, but I don't like to get there right before.
No.
I'm still going to do the legislative thing. It's just a reception, and if I see Sandy Santa, it may not be very nice. Oh, I want that.
We got it.
I do. Oh, you do. Nice.
What year is yours?
21.
TJ said we got our insurance checks.
Yeah. I think when Ben is here, he'll go.
It would be. If there's gonna be credit. We'll see what happens.
Well, just if we can get the first initial one.
Yeah.
It looks like a swamp right now.
Morning.
You can talk about energy.
Good morning. Good. Yeah.
Well, they
Look,
both-
it was kind of down, wasn't a lot. Finding is how quiet. It's a fact. Without bond or anything to do on bond.
The content.
25 and 25.
I don't care.
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's a good idea.
once, they're just. 25 and 30. There's like 88 minutes.
Morning, Ben.
One bedroom. Kitchen there. No, 19, 40 back again. Yeah, there's a lot of butter.
Well, it's 9:30. All those that so choose, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order with everyone present. The meeting is being recorded. If you do not want to be recorded, you have the option of leaving. First item on the agenda this morning, we have Steve and Ben from WinnMed with a review of their annual financial report. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Nice.
Thanks for the opportunity to come share our fiscal audit here for last 2024 fiscal year. Ben will go through the details with you all, but pleased to report overall that we had a really positive fiscal year last year and are trending to perform well financially this year also. So Ben will go through some of the details with you, and then I'll provide a few other WinnMed updates for you if folks are interested in that, and take any questions that you may have. So.
Well, we're 3/4 of the way through 2025 fiscal year, and we're just reviewing 2024. So we had an actuarial audit for our IFRS, OPEB, other post-employment benefit, that took 6 months. So just kind of, we finished that the last month, and that's one that we had to kind of wait on, but there was no impact to our financial statements because of it. So overall, financial considerations, page 1 is kind of the stuff that is a little bit different that makes our income statement sometimes look funky. So Medicaid Directed Payment Program, I'll let you kind of go over a little bit of what that program is, but that provided a net benefit to the hospital of about 3.75 million, 3.76. And it just allows us to have a different revenue stream come in for the Medicaid. Obviously, Medicaid doesn't pay as well, but through this program, it allowed us to be able to get reimbursed almost what commercial payers pay us for the Medicaid population. So no longer was it something that, you know, the hospital lost money on. It was now something that we're actually doing better on. So that's been a huge pickup on our financial side of things.
There's a question about that.
Yeah.
When, at your year-end report, I remember you mentioning that you had a better reimbursement amount because of the service level that you provided as far as the state goes. Is that reflected in this?
Yeah, that's what that is.
Okay. So your services heads and shoulders above a lot of what others are doing. And so therefore, they tend to reimburse better because of it. Is that a fair statement or?
So, I think probably talking about two different things here. But under the Medicaid directed payment program, this is a program that's now in its second year. The state of Iowa pursued getting it approved. So we're through one full year and now into the second year of that program. And Medicaid has not had an increase in reimbursement rates for years. And then when the state went to Medicaid managed care, that cut hospital reimbursement for Medicaid even further. So in many ways, this directed payment program is really the first true increase on Medicaid in years and years. We had another program, still have it, called the 340B drug discount program, and that provided us with a lot of good financial value for a number of years and a couple $1 million. That program is really starting to tail off as different things have happened with pharmaceutical manufacturers. We're not going to worry with all the details, but in many ways, this Medicaid direct payment program has eaten up that gap that the reduction in 340B has brought. So it's a super important program for us. The state of Iowa will apply for year 3 here in April, and we'll know about its approval in June or not. It's under this financial considerations because it is a program that hopefully continues on, but is not guaranteed to continue on. And so we just need to understand that as an organization as well.
Answer your question, Steve? Okay. The other piece on here, which you guys probably deal with, is net pension liability for IPERS. We brought on a positive cash or a positive income statement piece of about 1.4 million, but it had no cash impact. So that's just kind of that liability piece. So always a fun one to disclaimer. But overall, cash and investments, you'll see that overall we decreased by $2.9 million in cash this last year. Where that went to was purchase of capital assets above 5.9 million. So our big building project, we committed $7 million of internal reserves for that project. We paid all the, our internal reserves first, and then we started borrowing second. So that's kind of where that cash investment went for that last year. Net patient services revenue, still seeing tremendous growth in the organization. Last year, increased our gross patient revenue by over 8% at the top. So 165 million in 2023 up to about $180 million in 2024. In terms of what we actually brought in from the patient revenue versus what we charged out, we increased by 14.8%. And so pretty big increase there, but a lot of that has to do with that Medicaid directed payment program because that actually goes into the contractual allowance piece. From a statistic wise, I just kind of wanted to show you kind of, what we see. Obviously, that we've got inpatient for, the sick patients that spend the night. You can see those, 2,100 or about 3,000 total days there with newborn and swing bed, but total clinic visits. We have about over 60,000 people walk through our doors in our hospital and our outlying clinics on an annual basis. So increase that by, from 58 million the prior year. So we're still looking at bringing up additional services. And I know Steve's going to talk a little bit more about what we've got kind of walking through the door starting in May, but continue to see a strong patient visits. Continuing on that statement of operations, total operating revenue increased from 81 million to 93 million. So $12 million increase in operating revenues this last year. And then operating income was a positive of $2.7 million for the end of the year. A couple things kind of that, if you were at our board meeting or saw the meeting minutes, total operating income of 2.7, like I just said, but if you take out these IPERS, that IPERS adjustment at the very end of the year, along with the Medicaid directed payment, $2.4 million loss is where we would have ended. So those programs are, that Medicaid directed payment program is pretty vital to us. The $3.7 million, we previously got about $3 million of that 340B income, and that's down to 500,000 this last year. So those pieces are pretty important to our hospital, and that we tend to not get politically charged at the hospital level, but that is one that we will kind of get put our foot forward and try to keep that program going. Bottom line for the year, that's on the next page, increase in net position is $5.5 million when we take all the non-operating revenue side of things into consideration. So very, very strong year. Taking those IPERs and the Medicaid, we're still positive from a total bottom line by about close to $1 million. So had a very strong year. I think we're still in a ramp up period with all the services that we're bringing on. We've got the big building project that we'll be able to expand services. So some really strong things. Next one is total cash days available. That's what we use as a vital statistic to our organization to make sure that we've got the cash in the bank to be able to pay all vendors and staff members. So you can kind of see 172 days cash on hand for this last from 2020, and then we're at 106 days cash on hand currently. And that big decrease is that's $5 million of investments that we made towards the building project this last year. Days of net accounts receivable. So this is the thing that we are tasked with, is collecting on the patient receivables. So when we render patient services, collecting on that is always a challenge in today's. It's not you walk in, get a haircut, and you pay before you walk out. It's you walk in, you walk out. We do all the coding. We send the bill to insurance companies. It gets denied. We send it back. It gets denied. We send it back, and then finally, you guys sometimes get that bill 6 months later sometimes for an ER visit after us having to go through that. So it gets to be, it's more of a challenge, and insurance companies are not making it any easier on us for sure. So our apologies if you guys receive a bill for services that comes quite a bit later than what you remember. You have to kind of scratch your head, what did I do back then? But that is one of the things that we're continuously fighting an uphill battle sometimes. So, but
you mentioned there that you might go to the collecting the upfront copay of the patients on entry to try to reduce this and do a better and increase that, make this a little bit better for you guys. Is that proceeding?
That's something that we're still looking at very heavily, especially from the radiology components. These radiology visits are usually scheduled well in advance unless you come to the ER, but like something that you've got a CT that's 2 weeks out, that will be something that we're working on to try to collect a little bit of that ahead of time, so we don't have that balance sitting out there and then it goes to bad debt or goes to no pay. Or so that is a piece. You guys are already doing it from a lot of the clinic office visits. When you walk in and you pay your $20 or $25 copay, that's not changing. But if you've got a scheduled surgery that's 3 months out, there will be some opportunity for us to be able to talk with patients prior to that. Not looking at collecting everything up front, like some organizations are, but we are looking at trying to figure out what that good balance is.
Organization like ours, we have separate secondary insurance, so our Wellmark buy is like over 12,000 deductible for a family deductible, but the family deductible after our secondary insurance is only 1,000. So how do you manage something like that process? Because you submit it to Wellmark, they say, oh yeah, they're gonna have to pay all 6,000 of it, but the patient really is only gonna have to pay 1,000 of it.
So when you check in, you give all that insurance information, and our systems are getting more and more computerized in terms of that. We are able to put in both of your insurances and be able to model what that looks like in terms of the patient out of pocket. So
Oftentimes it's a difference in delayed calendar.
Yeah.
We're just all waiting to be caught up with each other. So the patient, I'm speaking just from my own experience, we're never sure what we owe.
And that's why I don't want to ever, ask for 100% of it, because, that patient balance, if you, like an ER visit that's 3 months late, you might have already had that patient, that due. So, that's why it's going to be a fine balance to try to figure out how do we collect an appropriate amount, but not ask for too much, because there's a lot of stuff that's lagging out there in healthcare. But right now it's taking us about 55 days to collect on average. For when you walk into when you walk out, and some of it that's on us, some that's on the insurance companies, and some of it's on you. So from a payer standpoint. But overall, some really good things. Now this last page is a pretty big change from from prior years. I think we were under $1 million in debt as of last year. That story is changing actively right now every single month. What we are, what we're going to be doing is this $50 million project is going to be funded with $7 million of internal reserves, $8 million of local banks, or USDA red light that we're kind of trying to work through right now, and then $35 million from USDA, and that's a fixed 30-year note at 3.5% interest for 30 years. So pretty unheard of for a hospital to be able to get a 30-year fixed note for, right now, but it is something that I think the hospital is pretty proud of, not having a whole lot of debt walking into this project, and we're going to walk out of it with some debt, but we're going to work at paying that off and getting ourselves back up with the cash that we need to be able to maintain, the USDA regulations of the 90 days cash on hand, but still be able to pay this off a little bit quicker. Yep. So,
Fingers crossed.
yep. And that's where some of these programs out there with the Medicaid direct payment are pretty important to us. So, but overall, right now, at the end of this 2024, we did not have any draws on any of our loans for the building project, but we have since done that for sure in the 2025. So that's kind of a high level summary of that, but I'll take any questions you guys might have on the finance side, and then Steve will talk a little bit more about operations. Yeah.
Yeah, that's extra.
Yeah.
There's notes on
And I
it.
can email it to Steve too, Ben, if you want that.
That'd be great.
Yep.
So looking into our future and time, this kind of the financials, our financial viability strategy is through growth, which also has the great benefit of providing local services as well. So healthcare expenses are rising, and they're rising pretty significantly. We don't have an ability to really control the net revenue per patient that we get in. Wellmark pretty much dictates what they're going to pay. Medicare is based on a percentage of our costs. So we don't really have that ability. So our ability to continue to generate net revenue to exceed the growing expenses is through volume. That's volume by bringing in new services into the community or growing our market share for services that we already offer. So I think the main update that I'll give is that between May and September, we're going to have 5 new physicians starting at WinnMed. So we have a full-time rheumatologist that we have signed, and rheumatology is an incredibly rare specialty and one that really doesn't exist in any large degree surrounding us. So that'll be awesome. Full-time urologist that is signed, full-time family practice physician that we've signed, a dermatologist that was signed prior that'll start at the end of May for us. And then we have one more specialist that signed with us recently that we're just not quite ready to communicate out, but should be ready to communicate out this week. So both an expansion of current specialty services along with some brand new specialties that'll be coming to join WinnMed. And looking at our building project with all the new space that we have open, with these physicians coming in the door, it's not going to take us long to fill up the space of this building, which is both awesome because it was certainly needed, but also, oh my gosh, this is going to fill up pretty quickly as well. Good problem to have. We've come out of the changes in the Mayo Clinic relationship, looking really strong. So super happy with the new professional services agreement that we signed with Mayo to allow our current physicians to remain as Mayo Clinic Health System physicians through 2040. So that remains a super important partnership for us and the local docs. The management services agreement with Mayo will go away in its entirety June 30th. Ben was our last senior leader to transition from Mayo to WinnMed, which just happened, last week?
Last Tuesday. Yeah.
Last Tuesday. So our leadership is through that transition process to WinnMed employment. Just a few things left to button up coming out of that relationship. And then with all these new physicians that we've signed, 4 out of the 5 of those are WinnMed employed physicians. So we've demonstrated our ability to recruit to WinnMed employment versus Mayo employment, which was a really positive thing coming out of this transition. So again, feeling really good about everything. Things can certainly change as governmental programs change, different things happen. So we have to be ready to adjust and do things differently if needed. But feeling real good about where we sit now. So questions?
Is the new OB wing meeting expectations?
Depends on what you mean by that. So in terms of
Okay, projections, let's say.
like volume projections.
Yeah.
So our first couple of months in the OB unit were actually slower months, but this is kind of a law of small numbers thing where it varies quite a bit because we average like 22 births a month. So sometimes you might have 9 and then other months you might have 35. But we have seen an increase in the number of new mothers assigned to our physicians. So obviously that takes a certain amount of time, a pretty expected amount of time for that to materialize into what happens in the birthing unit. But we are starting to see an increase in that. Now, is that because of having new FPOBs or having 2 OBGYNs or the unit? You know, what's all the variables that make up some of that? Hard to say. But the new unit has gone over really well with both staff and patients.
When will the new facilities be completed? What's your target completion date?
Yeah, so our first major phase that's next is the surgery expansion. So on the south side of the building, we've got 2 new rooms being built. That will be sometime in May. And then after that, it'll be September when we have the big 30,000 square foot addition for the clinic will be complete. And then we'll be working on remodeling some internal surgery areas between that and January of 2026 is when they're walking out the door, hopefully. So it's pretty soon.
There's been, as you may or may not be aware, a lot of discussion around our table in public meetings over the last year on home health care. What do you offer at Winneshiek Medical Center?
Yeah, so we have a full spectrum home health service. I think our average patient volume in home health specifically is around 70 to 85 individuals that we're serving from home health. And we go to a pretty good distance away from us as well to provide that service. And then we have hospice care that's part of our umbrella as well, serving between 20 and 30 individuals in hospice. And that's all under one department for us.
And how is payment for all of that covered?
Well, we don't make money on home health. So some of it is subsidized by the broader organization, but we accept all the different insurance carriers for home health. The one difference, and this is not an area of my expertise, but there are some things that public health is able to offer through I think the Medicaid waiver programs that we do not do. So there is, you know, of that Venn diagram with what public health at least used to do and what we do, there's some overlap there, but there's also some areas that do not overlap with those 2 parties.
Anyone have any other questions for the guys?
I will say the hip and knee deal, I'm very happy that they got that into court.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, it was very,
It's a great ortho.
excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And yeah, Dr. Emily Connor is fantastic. We have another physician that'll be joining us doing 1 week a month, Dr. Voigtlander. And he will start with us like late spring, early summer. And that is to help offload and really help support Dr. Connor for the next, 3 years now before our new orthopedic physician starts in 2028. And then at that point in time, we'll have 2 full-time orthopedic surgeons at WinnMed.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. Just go down here. You don't have to drive
Absolutely.
60 miles.
Tell your friends.
I mean, have nothing.
My mom came up from Denver, Iowa to be able to have her total joint done.
I
up there.
know, mine, Wilkerson did mine when he was
Oh,
there.
okay. Yeah.
Nothing but good.
Awesome.
Absolutely good. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Well, thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Next item on the agenda, Michael Kueny, our county engineer. Read the items. Why don't you start wherever you want, Mike?
Well, quite a few things came up this past week. So. So just run through the line items on this, the easiest way to do it. The build grant, still haven't heard anything on that, same as last week. Railroad Flat Car Bridge Study, same as last week. Subdivision data gathered, also same as last week. And then I'll say more maintenance activities for 2025 are being coordinated. A couple of things came up in discussions with the crew. met with this was last week, I did met with the long-term staffing strategy. We have, we wanna, as part of the agenda, we want to do the approved new job description for office staff. So that's part of this long-term staffing strategy. And so whenever you're ready to approve or vote on the the new job description to work with Condrey Associates.
Did you send it out ahead of time so they could see it?
I thought I did, and maybe
I haven't.
yeah, if you have not seen it, that means I may have dropped the ball on that.
Just didn't work.
Yes, I think that must have been me dropping the ball on that portion, so I will get that sent out, and we might have that next Monday. Thought I had sent it out, but I apologize. All right, so the big thing for this week was we had 4 interviews for secondary road superintendent. It occurred Thursday and Friday late afternoon. From those interviews, I recommend to the board the hire of Darren Barr for Winneshiek County's road superintendent.
We can hear that, make that, I move to approve. I'll second that.
What was it? Say the name again, and what,
Darren Barta.
Barta, and what's the date would be effective today?
Effective today.
And you.
I make the motion to approve. I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve Darren Barter for the Winneshiek County Road Superintendent. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And he's a current employee.
He
already.
is a current.
So there's no pre-employment physical and all that stuff. It just can be effective right away.
It would be effective pay increase and everything.
I do not see the job description in the email
Okay,
to the.
okay. Next item is the shops. We've been working on new security hardware and software on that. The hardware has been installed. We have not tested the software yet. Bridge 126 variance was requested Monday. We are looking to meet with a DNR representative early this week. I met with Foreman an hour ago. It's not deleted. Apologize. First week of road embargo notifications, 32 permits were filed. The length of the embargo is still unknown at this time.
Was it a maximum of 90? 60 or 90 days?
I don't anticipate it going that long, but
I think it's 90, but it's usually just based on the weather and road condition until you need it.
and right, and my understanding is there's 1 day off, and then I have another 60 or 90 days to put it on again. So I don't anticipate employing that with as warm weather as we're having. We had a road maintenance worker 1 resign on Friday. We will post an internal opening for his replacement per protocol.
What the person you promoted, you just hired, will he be replaced?
We will be sending that out. Yes, we will. Yes, there will be 2. We have 2 openings, and
Those will both be internal right now.
I'm going to talk to Darren on that, but most likely yes. We have an all department safety meeting is on Wednesday.
Where is that?
That'll be at the maintenance shop. 8 o'clock is the start time. 8 to noon. Then ISAC meets at the end of the week. I am still not sure if I would go or not. I looked at the meeting. I don't know if any of the board members are going.
I think three of us. are.
Okay. I would probably not show up until Thursday afternoon on that, just looking at the agenda and everything on that, so. A lot of things are happening this week. This week, or last week, the design all team attended the federal funding seminar in Hiawatha on Tuesday. Due to weather, Wednesday was an all-day remote session. This past week, we received rock prices for Class A roadstone and sand from Bruning's Rock Products. Class A prices are up approximately 8% and sand prices are up approximately 6%. This is consistent with other counties. I'll call it disappointing that it was not a little bit less. Obviously, it's about a quarter of our budget. So I'll be having to incorporate that into our budget. So
It'll be either you have to come up with more money or you get less rock.
That's right.
that's the ultimatum that is presented to us. So that's what I'm working on. As to what I want to do. Come up with a decision probably later this week as to how I want to handle that. An Ashley Henson grant proposal for a combined Freeport shop expansion and an emergency management facility was explored and ultimately dropped due to the lack of compatibility with the grant goals. Spent some time designing a shop and everything else, and just ultimately decided that I didn't want to ask something that was on the fringe of what the grant was supposed to be for. Didn't want to waste time or credibility going down that road. And then also last week, signed a contract with Chuck Brisson for bridge inspection. This is just a continuation of all the work that they've done in the past. Standard continuation is all it is. So with that is the report. As soon as I get out of this meeting, I will send the job descriptions to the whole board. So,
I'll add it to next week's agenda.
okay, thank you very much, Ben. Any questions?
Focus shop expansion. Is a year from now.
It's on fiscal 2026. That's when the idea when the funds from the sale of the DOT building or that property out there is supposed to hit, is my understanding, and then I have it in fiscal 2026 as my idea currently.
So it could be early, starting as early as in July this year.
Correct. I don't foresee it being in July, just.
That'd be a lot of parts to get moving in a hurry.
Depending, it's gonna be, the issue's gonna be contractors, so, I think, so first of all, I don't know an amount, and second of all, the timing on that is just, do I do it in calendar year 2026, first thing to give me plenty of time to get all the permitting going and figure out what it is we can build with the proceeds, so.
So the grant permit is more about bridges and roads rather than building, or what do you mean
Basic,
by incompatibility?
the incompatibility was, they didn't want a multi-use facility, and the idea that emergency management and I came up with was so that we would be doing something reasonable, is an expansion of the Freeport shop with nicer facilities for, in-floor heating and things like that for the existing, or for the new piece off of the existing, and then off of that would have been a emergency management office and shop for the emergency management. Ultimately, the multi-use nature of that would have been circumvented by giving emergency management access to all the shop bins, and that just, there's a conflict of interest there. There's all kinds of different things going on that not really a good setup going into a grant, not knowing exactly how that's gonna work, and then it's on the face of it, you have to say, this is not a multi-purpose facility.
When you know it
When
is.
you know it is, right?
You're trying to be too efficient.
Yeah, I'm trying to make use of the funds as efficiently as possible, but the way this works is you have to kind of fib, and I don't wanna fib.
Yeah, in the end, you have to tell the truth, and the
Yeah.
truth is, it is a multi.
Yeah, exactly, because otherwise then Sean would, he would have access to the stuff whenever he wanted effectively, and it's like, this shop is there for the county roads department, and I just did not want that set up for the long term. So, it was kind of one of those things when you go down the road and talk about how it's gonna work, it didn't add up.
Just a thought going forward as we build new and upgrade facilities. Have you looked into solar options?
I have not, so the Schley shop, in Howard County, is what I'm modeling my idea off of, for the local shop. A lot of work was done by its crew members, so that they save costs that way. I don't know if our guys have the same capabilities, but that's the start that I'm going down. Solar, if there's credits and things like that to work around, I'm more than happy, but that would be a complication that I don't really want to deal with unless it makes sense on a monetary basis.
I guess I just think overall, I don't know going forward what the credits are going to be, but it's a discussion we should think about.
If there ain't no credits, it ain't feasible.
No, but if there are, we should
Yeah.
look into it and see the
Yeah.
potential of it, and
We
there's
haven't
plenty of
got
room
ours.
We
for.
have to see if we get the
Even
money.
get ours from recycling first, that thing. would be-
I know, but I'm just talking, be
Yeah.
proactive. It doesn't hurt to talk to the energy district and see as a county and say, well, what facilities would make sense to put that with.
If there's money to be pulled from that property into solar, and I'm more than happy to incorporate that into plans. I just don't have the, it's not in my purview because that's a complication that's not the purpose of what I'm trying to get done. And so,
But long-term purpose is to hopefully save the county money.
100%.
And if it's doing it up front is better than county retrofitting later, then we should look at the options for that in design of the building, if you're gonna have it on a rooftop.
I can see what it would take to just, the simple thing on that would just see what it take to have a easy construction of what would it take to make an easy construction for the rooftop solar panels. That is something I could look into.
Otherwise-
Solar.
At least gives you the option then of installing them.
Later.
If it is feasible.
Yeah,
I think even like some of those places, obviously you have room to put a field up rather than on the rooftop too.
It would have been great to look into it 4 years ago when it was
Yeah.
first brought up.
So I was
I
just,
don't know anything about a local shop solar.
I was just looking at our county services building and the electric there every month, and I think that would make, it's not your business, but as a county looking into potentially, if the credits are still there, put that in. Because we pay the electricity for that building and it's a pretty hefty,
Different courthouse.
pretty hefty chunk. Well, but we don't have space to put panels up here unless you want to put them on this roof, which certainly I don't think it would cover.
No.
This, but I think community services building has a big enough rooftop. We could put an array up there, obviously. But
At the least, you could look at what the load factor would do to the roof design, if on an area where you could have a southern exposure.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the roof design, but also just, is it gonna be easy to construct on the top? because that would be the second thing. I will make that a consideration as part of the design moving forward. But and if you smell any grant money,
Well, that's,
please send it my way, right?
maybe we'll look into the energy district and see what their thoughts are on some of these facilities.
I'm all ears.
Okay,
So,
great. Thank you.
all right. That is my report. Again, any other questions?
Well, with the wages for the foreman.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring that up publicly, but that's, that has been discussed, and I think it's been discussed in front of, or to all the board members here. We have a tentative agreement with the union, and that's gonna push their wages higher than their superiors' wages. And we'll have to, I don't know if we can get that on the agenda for next week, to vote for that, on that.
Well, the others won't go in effect till July 1 anyway, so we
Right.
have a little bit of time to figure out what we're doing here, but
Yes.
let's not wait till the last minute either.
I already have kind of a recommendation, in my head on that. I've been thinking about that for a week and a half plus, so kind of have an idea of what I think is probably a good way to go about that.
Would it be of any value when we have our 6 county meeting in April to have each county put something in the pot so we know where the wages are with the crews and their structure?
We have that survey that's based off of this past fiscal 2025, that's on the Service Bureau.
So
I
they already know that information.
So we already have that information. I mean, not every county has the same name
For each
division, so it's kind of a weird thing like that, but you have a pretty good idea of what they're talking about. And I can send that information, I can send that spreadsheet over to you. That I've
See
downloaded.
where we stand, because it's, we gotta, in our competitive nature between our other counties, people can easily cross county lines.
Yes, that is very true, and
I think until you actually sign your union agreements, that you don't want to be basing too much on those. So hopefully I don't know how close you are. I wasn't in on those, but it's there.
We're there, but by the recommendations and what we went through with the union, we should be right back on track with where we need to be. So I don't think we'll have any problem with that. It's just fixing the other end of it.
yeah, I mean, that, yeah. There's a lot to that one, so,
We should have done Condrey A. A long time ago.
Yeah. All right, anybody have anything else for Mike?
Those county boys like plowing W-14 now.
did you hear that?
Yeah, I had to call. He said, this saved on equipment too. He said, you don't even, I mean.
I went and drove W-14 on
I had a guy call me,
Wednesday.
said, this is just unbelievable.
and
Yeah.
It was done well.
Yeah, keep pushing, get the roads done so we can, just easier on equipment. I mean, it just saves. Yeah.
Frankville's next, yeah, that'll be real nice to.
Yeah,
it'll be a lot
no,
nicer
that's,
to-
they're
And
just,
that's one of the hardest,
That's a year from now,
routes.
though.
Yeah, that is a year from now.
Yeah, and I did have another complaint on that.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of people commuting back and forth to Postville that drive that road, and you hear from them. And there's nothing you can do about it other than hopefully patch in those culverts.
Frankville will go, it's got the same process as W-14. We're gonna have that cold in place, and it should be a really good road, but the time it's done, it's just, right now is the. Says it will.
Are we doing any shoulder expansion on Frankville?
That was the goal. We don't have, there's no grants that we're gonna get for that, so it'll be just a topping, it'll be a cold in place recycle, and then it'll be a topping, 2-inch overlay on top of that.
At one point, the project had a several hundred thousands of safety money attached to it to actually pave the shoulders, but that's gone now, so that's gonna get next.
I don't know if it ever existed based off what I saw,
Okay.
but that was hope.
Yeah, it was
And he also made the comment.
optimism.
Locust Road was huge too. The shouldering they did on Locust.
Yes,
Huge, huge plus.
yeah, that was last year, and that was,
I said that was.
we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah. But I suppose for you plowing, you know, a guy gets off on the shoulder, you ain't gotta bump that lip again and.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at some shouldering, the 2025 maintenance activities that I referenced earlier on. I'm looking for shouldering,
Yeah.
ideas.
You got a farmer in your hip pocket that you could find for a pond?
Oh, boy, that was not my find, but that was, I guess, my deal. We got lucky there, so. That was that fill that we had for W14 is very much appreciated. Yeah.
When did the blades start working the roads again?
They are.
They're already.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been,
Last week.
I was on the River Road yesterday and it's in tough shape. I didn't know.
is it in tough shape? How? Is it
Holes.
lots of potholes?
Lots.
Okay. Yeah, I know that
I mean, it gets a lot of traffic. So
I have not received, word on River Road specifically.
You have now.
Yes, right. But I know that the roads have been receiving quite a few complaints on those roads, especially from the farmers who are trying to get to,
This wasn't mushy. It was just there's holes all over.
okay.
And some of that's gonna take a little bit of time for all that frost to come out before they can.
Yeah. So I didn't know if it was where
They're basically just trying to
It's this time of year.
smooth them over a little bit to.
Yeah.
Till the time, bide time.
because if most of that river road is just, there's no really gravel evidence. It's just like a hard surface that's got holes all over.
Yeah, they'll pull some rock up when the frost comes out and be able to shape it a little bit better, but until then,
So, and then if we get rain before the frost comes out, then we'll see what happens.
yeah. I'm hoping we don't have a whole lot of moisture on Friday, Saturday,
Yeah, the roads are in good shape right now. Yeah.
so. Well, minus,
At least, I mean, you know, for dry and, you know, soft.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I just don't want a whole bunch of mush for the farmers hauling.
But you're seeing limited boil,
I haven't been told of any boil.
a little bit of a Middle Safety Road up above. But not like past years.
There ain't enough moisture down below.
There's some
If you-
bad stuff up
If
there.
you hear about it, you can email me at any time, cause I'm wondering where it's hitting, and so,
You still have rock left in some of the ice control piles that you could put
Yes.
in a
Yes.
bad boil.
I
Yep.
think they've been into with some, that was, I was talking to some of the beard boys that they've got farms along there. That's what they were saying,
okay.
but not like past years, it got really bad up there.
Is it making it so that it's impassable or? Yeah.
No, it just,
Again,
Inconvenience.
6 feet extra horsepower.
yeah,
All right. So anyone have anything else for Mike?
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Mike.
Congrats on that,
thank you.
the promotion.
Well, I think we'll skip over the miscellaneous for right now, since we're running a little behind, and we'll get straight to Andy. Good morning, Andy.
I have a copy of that paperwork that Andy prepared for the property sale. Ready to do that. It's a resolution to set the public hearing and the bidding procedures.
I would just, we put the minimum bid on there. But that doesn't mean we'll accept the minimum bid either. Is that correct?
I included in their language that you have the
Yeah.
right to reject it.
Yeah.
So. I think it could be higher, but that's, it's a starting point. I don't know. I was also, do we open it up then for the, if there's 3 people that they can have a, submit additional bids?
I think you need different language in there, in the
Yeah.
resolution.
You have to have a,
I mean, I suppose you theoretically could reject the 3 highest bids and
Open it up
say,
again.
open it up again.
I just thought,
This
well,
is
if
the
the
base.
minimum is this, then anyone that could bid beyond that, if it's so desirable.
Any ideas as to how we can best market the opportunity for sale?
Beyond, maybe, economic development, would be a good starting point here in
And have a
town.
copy of the floor plans and are aware.
And I'll make sure to send them this paperwork. If you
Your
pass it.
online presence might be a good place to do it. You might talk with John about setting up a separate website for it if you think that would be of value. Your appraiser may have some suggestions because of the resources they looked at for developing comps. That's kind of what comes to mind, but it's gonna take a little effort, I think, to get this out to the public, at least the public that's interested in commercial property.
I was thinking it might be worth investing in a good sized for sale sign with a picture and breaking down square footage and acreage. So people are driving by, they can see
52, that's a good idea.
that it's for sale, and viewing will be available May 1st and bids will be accepted. I think there's a lot of traffic going by there, and make sure it's in a visible place. I don't know if I think since it's a for sale sign, if there was something like with a billboard option, conflict or something, but
I guess if we're gonna do before we even pass this one here, I would say put in the option top 3 bids, have a round table bid off. If we're gonna do it, we might as well just do it right away instead of drag our feet.
I think it's good to have that option. We may not
Put
even
it,
get
just put it
any.
in there and be done with it, rather than wait till, that way they know exactly what's gonna be.
I think especially since we're disclosing what our minimum bid is.
Yeah.
Then
You want the top 3 or the top 2?
I don't
I
know.
think a little bit, there's a little psychological advantage to the top 2
Two.
because
Yeah.
You want to make
we
sure.
don't need to sneak in to get into the bidding process. We need.
I don't even remember the top 5. Usually it's like a land dog, it's always the top
well, the
5
problem,
go into the whatever, but yeah.
well, the problem we ran into before is that people from the same entity put in a bid. So then the top or this.
Top 3 were all the same family.
They're all the same family.
So nobody bid it up. That's what happened last time we did that.
Well, then we
Of
should.
course, that was
reject the bid. We have the option,
but
reject
that
the
was
bid.
a $5,000
Yeah.
parcel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're talking
that was just
a different
Yeah, but
situation there.
It isn't that a lot.
I mean, it wasn't worth anything to anybody else, that's. what
No,
I'm
but
saying.
I also think that maybe we don't limit the number of people we're gonna involve in the bid.
No, you have to put a limit on it, otherwise you can't just say we're gonna have a. bid
Otherwise,
off
everyone will just bid
Yeah.
$500,000.
$1,000 and you're gonna have.
Bid if
20
they know
people
they're
say,
gonna get it.
No, you gotta do it.
If you're going to do that, then why bother? I mean, just say we're gonna have an auction.
Auction, yeah, just the way I'm gonna do the bid, if you're gonna have everybody. It'd either be the top 3 or top 5, that's the way the most
Well,
land
we could-
auctions are, is top.
Unrelated entities.
No, he ain't gonna just do it simple, it's just gonna be simple, I mean,
Well, if you're getting the minimum to start with,
yeah.
That's,
I
I think
that's
the
one
minimum.
goal, and then anything up and beyond that is a plus. I would go with the top 3.
Yeah. I mean, most land auctions are top 3, top 5, and 5 is the most they ever have, I mean, that's what,
is there something wrong with going with 5 then? Or?
I don't care, but that's,
And there's
Yeah.
peop-
sometimes it never
I
happens
think
because that
the
top.
fewer
one's-
you take, the more, the higher the initial bids are gonna be.
Yeah.
That's my take.
It's getting
as
back to what Andy.
Yeah, that's why he said at one point,
Top
he said
three.
2, because that means you gotta compete with that initial bid to get in there.
I would say the top three would be the. So if you want to get to the show, you got to bid.
Because if you're really interested in it, you don't want to end up fourth.
Yeah,
So the number you're gonna put in is probably gonna be higher than the minimum, just to assure that you're in there.
yeah. I'd say just go with the top three and just.
If you guys are assuming you have more than one bid,
That's.
I was gonna say that earlier, but
Yeah,
you know, that's a pretty unique piece of property out there that's gonna
Yeah,
take the
it's-
right.
right person. It ain't like it's sitting there all by itself on a nice
I think
3 acre
we should
lot.
also make sure that these proposals go to the larger real estate firms in the Iowa, not just local.
And that is something you might want to consider. There is with that class action suit being settled a year or so ago or being decided on real estate firms, you may end up with a buyer's realtor coming in and saying, we want you to pay the buyer's commission side of this thing, which, you know, could be 2%, could be 3%. And that may not be uncommon, particularly if you're sending this out to real estate firms and saying, hey, we've got this parcel and,
They ain't
you
gonna
know,
do
if
it.
you want to show it, you know, you're gonna have to factor that into your net, obviously, at the end of the day for what is your best bid, but that's a potential expense that you're gonna have out there.
Yeah, we can look at that at the bids, what's, yeah, the net bid is what we wanna go after.
What's stopping us from just raising the minimum bid in that resolution?
Nothing.
Nothing. I
I think
wouldn't,
we should raise the.
I think
minimum
we
bid.
should.
I wouldn't raise the minimum bid.
I think we
I
should.
think we should.
Why did you get an appraisal?
Yeah, why did we even do it? Why we even do an appraisal then?
What does the real estate market look like right now in our region? Are things going for more than appraisal? I know houses are.
Housing's different than.
Housing's a whole different deal.
Commercial is much softer than
Yeah.
And like Andy stated, this is a very
especially.
Unique property.
unique property.
Yeah.
And the
All the
appraiser
ones that
said,
make
if-
minimum bid.
the appraiser said the same thing too, it's a very unique, unusual building, and that's why it costs for.
You're rural and not city.
We have better, I'm more confident if we get somehow figure out how we're gonna broadcast a bigger net to get the idea out there. Here's a property available. You can be settling in Winneshiek County. Here's a good opportunity for, you could not duplicate the building and land for anywhere near the price of what this will probably sell for.
I think it should at least be 10% higher, not 20.
I'm fair with where it's at. Start there and you just go up.
We can always.
If it's worth more, they're gonna pay. You get. three
Because of our
people that-
discussion right now, it may not go up.
If it's a bid process, that's what's gonna determine it.
I will revise the resolution to provide for a bid process for the top 3 bidders. What I'm hearing is we start at the 500 base and use the bid process as your effective means of getting it beyond that.
Well, it'd be nice to get the 20% more, Mark. You also don't want to sit there with a building empty.
Nobody even interested. You gotta get
I
people.
mean,
there.
the only way that increasing that value helps you is if you only have one bidder.
But then if we only
Would
got
also
one bidder,
help us-
that tells us what it's worth.
Do it also help us they'll pay for those realtor fees? Do we need to pay those realtor fees?
Those would be negotiable.
That's negotiable. We don't have to agree to that.
So the building sits for another 3 months until it sells.
3 months, 3 years, you don't know.
Well,
Yeah, and the longer it sits, the more deteriorate. You gotta move a building, you gotta get
Go on
it.
maintenance.
Don't want it empty.
Yeah,
Moving a building in a month is not,
we had it appraised, we know what the appraisal is.
What, could I ask what the appraisal and
No,
No,
Okay.
no, we had it appraised, we spent the money to have it appraised, we know what the appraisal is, that's what he's telling us it's worth. Why are we gonna, no, that's just ridiculous to go tacking
I'm okay.
whatever on top of it.
I'm
I
okay
mean,
with adding the
Yeah,
top three bidders. I don't know
Yeah.
how the rest of you
I'm
are.
okay with that.
Sounds
Yeah,
like you have a
definitely.
consensus of at least three, so.
Anything else on this?
I don't think so on this.
If we could automatically forward that to the development office once we get it approved.
That's my intention.
Who's gonna work on the sign? I think that's, like you said, that's a good spot to do some inexpensive advertising.
Traffic goes past.
Probably just something through Letterworks.
have them design something, we need to get them information and give us size options, but I want something, it's gotta be something big enough so it's noticed from.
Legible from the street.
If you have the acreage and you have the square footage on there and contact information for Ben. And maybe the deadline, sorry, didn't mean to throw you under the bus.
Yeah,
but-
no, that's fine.
But, you know,
Yep.
you're kind of in
Just
contact.
the plans, or how
We-
much of that is online right now, anything? Or-
No.
So we could put the plans on.
I don't have any idea. They're big, like
No.
size of this table documents.
I think Andy's right there. You got square footage, the acreage, the date.
Showing date.
Final
and the
date.
Bid
It's just
date.
simply more information for the auditor's office.
But if, I mean, we could add to the bid sheet that information, those 6 or 7 pages are available.
You
on the
added,
county
that's in
website.
view.
Yeah, just put it in.
It is in the current draft. You put that those are,
They're available in your office. What
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying is that we have a link or.
yeah, I
go
don't
to the
know if
county
we have
website.
them, like, do we have
I
them?
have them in a PD, in a JPEG file on the various sheets that we have duplicated in the engineer's office, so I can make that, we can make that available, we can put that online as a PDF, and we can do the same thing with, and we've got to, don't lose sight of the fact of economic development down there, we'll make sure they have it.
We need to put the bid form into that packet.
I think we
The-
have-
The easier you make it for somebody who's out of town to get what they need.
I think we should have, once you pass the resolution, have the IT department put a separate page or something in our website that with a link on the front in the spotlight, you know, bid their property for sale, have them go there and it has the documents, the bid sheet, all the information and stuff there too.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of people, if they call us and call me and ask, well, how do I get to, I'd rather tell them go to this link than come in here and look at it, because that's a lot easier for people.
And if you get the sign too busy, there's a lot of people that aren't gonna be able to read it when they're driving by.
I'll contact.
Do you and I want to work
Yes.
with Letterworks?
I'll contact
Two.
Letterworks.
Because then maybe
Steve and Mark,
they would want to go take a picture to put on the sign that it's, because you can't really see the building all that great from the highway, but having a nice picture of it for sale.
you can see it.
Well,
See it from the,
there's a
You have
lot
to
of,
be looking for it because you see the house next to it before you see
yeah,
it.
then
usually.
you're looking back, you see the
You're looking
state
back.
garage, yeah,
See the state
or you're
garage.
looking forward, you see the house.
anyway,
It is hard to
We
be
got
at
frontage.
55 or maybe even 60.
I see it at 55.
But then I've seen people go faster.
Yeah, somebody.
so. Anyway,
I commute
probably,
with a lot of them up and down 52, so it's pretty common to see a variety of speeds. Andy,
Yes.
you're correct.
and we could probably get the road department to install a sign probably.
We can make that ask, that's easy.
Yeah.
We have a sign crew, so I
Yeah.
mean, that could possibly work.
Okay.
So Andy will revise it for next week to include the bid off of the top three, and Mark and Steve will work on getting the sign started, or at least we won't know the details until we pass that resolution, but yeah.
I may visit with John too, and just see if they can get a page set up with a link that we could add to that stuff, even if it's under construction for now, just
To get it ready.
to have it ready to go. Anything
What's it?
else on that?
What's the dollar amount we're gonna spend on a sign? And
Whatever, I mean, at this point, if we got a property to sell, whatever the sign price is gonna be what it is. We're gonna put, it's gonna have to be at least a 4x8 sign up there. Nothing
Yep.
smaller than that's gonna do any good.
So
So on a signboard or on a piece of plywood is gonna.
I think the two of you can decide what's appropriate in size and price based on.
It won't be $1,000.
because we may
Might
be,
be.
you know, what we can do for that too is take an old. Maybe the sign department has a big sign and they can just do one of those vinyl overlays
Yeah,
on it, since it's only gonna be for 2 months. That would work too, rather than having a
and if they
detail.
don't, I think you could even put that on a piece of plywood, as Steve was stating,
Yeah, it's not a.
for that short term,
Yeah.
it would last longer.
It's only gonna be to less. See what the price difference is between a decal sign and a.
You
banner.
guys can work that out.
The plywood, the post is probably.
go to
gonna
the
be more.
paint shop.
All right, anything else, Sandy?
I need a response from you to the email I sent over the weekend.
Yeah,
That
I
one
do have some, are you gonna be at the office?
I have an appointment at a little after 11, they'll run till about 12:30. Give me a call, otherwise if I'm not there.
Okay. We'll do that.
Were you satisfied with what's above the jury box and what was done up there in Stevens?
I haven't been up there. I'll check tomorrow. Were they able to scrape it down a little bit?
Yeah, they kind of repainted that wall with a jury box and replaced ceiling tiles, and they put some extra reinforcing. There was some stuff that had fallen down before us above. They put some plywood to stop any of that, so there was not gonna be any falling stars.
So
on
the
your
jurors
jury
are
box.
protected in the jury box. That's
They
a
are.
good thing.
There'd be no falling stars in the jury box.
All right. Now, thank you for that. That was a little bit of a concern for the appearance to the
Rightfully so.
jurors.
Mhm.
Yes. We have enough excuses for not wanting to serve, let alone it's dangerous.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Moving back up to the miscellaneous items, first of which is the noxious weeds resolution.
Yep, this is the same as it's been for several years that Doug prepared.
I move to approve the noxious weed resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the noxious weeds resolution. Is there any further discussion? None, it is a resolution. Mark?
Aye.
Shirley?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I also pass it unanimously. Next miscellaneous item, canvass of the March 4th election.
Yep, so we had actually 2 elections going on. Last Tuesday, we had one for the Postville School District that had two things to vote on, and one for the city of Decorah. The results are all in. Usually we would wait till at least noon on the Monday following to resolve provisional ballots or ballots from overseas voters that hadn't arrived, but we didn't have any provisional ballots, and all of the ballots from overseas voters have been arrived and have been counted. So we can go ahead and do this before the noon time. We had 2,520 voters in the Decorah election. We had 7 voters in the Postville School District.
How many?
7.
That's a 4-county election though, so that's the votes you're certifying for the Postville election are just our county's votes. These get sent to Almakeek County, who then will have a second canvass next week that combines the results from all 4 counties, so.
That what, Winneshiek, Elm, McKee, Clayton and Fayette? I
Yeah.
suppose, ain't it?
Yep.
They all come together and post.
Can we have a motion to cover all of these?
Yes, it would be one motion. It would be to certify the results and the canvas summary and
declare the results on the decor proposition, so.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to certify the March 4th election results for the Postville School District and to declare the March 4th election results for Decorah. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
I have 3, 4, 5 things for all of you to sign. And since here, I just need special report of the results to the attorney for the court.
Did you have to open up the precinct and for that 7 votes
Yeah,
all day?
all day.
Wow.
3 people sitting there all day for the 7 votes.
Where was that at?
Oh. That had-
Our Postville School District voters are in Frankville Township and Castalia and the Military Township areas. And so they're normal point like you can It used to be, and I have wished that they would change it when they combine the 20.
Oh.
That's mine, my agenda.
Okay.
In 2019, they combined all of the city and school elections into one election in odd numbered years, but part of that process of combining the elections changed the rules for each county has to do the votes of their own residents. And I wish they would have changed it just for the regular election and not for all elections. So then these special elections get thrown into that. So now we each have to be in charge of our own residents for the special elections. Personally, I think it would be more efficient to let the special elections still work like they used to, where one county could do it for everybody. Like if you would have had one polling site in Postville, they could have done all 4 counties for voters, but it was part of that legislation that changed the way that worked.
Could have been worse if Frankville wasn't.
In the same one, yes, exactly. It could have been worse.
All right, next miscellaneous item is to adopt the salary schedule policy.
So we did some revisions on this. I sent out new copies after your meeting last week. I sent it to Andy and Holly at our HR attorney place. Andy didn't get back to me, but I think that he was deferring to the other. So basically all I did was change it, that the wording in that section about if you go to a lower pay grade and how that worked from last week.
Did Holly have any comment?
No. So, I mean, I think these are all our current policies other than that one anyway, but I think it would be appropriate for you to actually approve this policy so we have them all in one place.
I move to approve the salary schedule policy update and the policy itself.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the county salary schedule policies. Is there anything further? So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Motion carries unanimous. All right. What do we have for consent agenda?
Got the minutes, the claims, and the recorder's monthly report to accept and file.
Just a question. No question. I was gonna say, who ordered the drone, but I see who ordered the drone, so. It's in the EMS.
I move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
There's two places to sign on the recorder's report.
You get the signed claims.
Yep, I got that one. Thank you.
Any committee reports?
The Northeast Iowa Behavioral Health met last week and happy to report we've got 5 new board members. So that'll really help us out a lot with good experience to add to the board. As we said, 3 of us are going down to ISAC this week. Ben, you probably are too.
I'm not.
At this time.
My daughter has a back surgery this week,
Ah.
so I'm gonna be at Mayo most of the week.
Yeah, let's.
Security on Fridays.
Security board on Friday, on conservation board tomorrow.
And
Solid waste
Solid
tonight.
waste
Tonight at 5,
And,
at probably health board, health board on Wednesday.
I bet at 3:30 again.
I think I haven't got the information. No, we're at the jail, the jail tour. That's it, one of the shares.
The Upper Foreland did that presentation at Waukon on human trafficking.
Did you go?
Boy, did it.
Good.
It was very well attended. They had to open up, take the sliding wall out and expand more seating. They had a very good presenter. I'll ask Rochelle Howe if she can, that needs to be in Winneshiek County also, the presenter.
Are they doing it NICC?
They did it at NICC out there in Waukon, and the presenter was good. The documentary that they was presented strictly for Iowa. I mean, it was done on the state of Iowa, human trafficking in Iowa. A striking statistic is per capita, not by population size of states. How high do you think we would rank? Well,
I think
I'll
we'll
save
survive.
the drum roll. We're number 3.
I'm not surprised with the interstate system.
And it's not because of freeways.
Not.
No. So I won't steal any more thunder, but it's really worth attending and seeing, because human trafficking is a real, it's not just big cities. The presentation was done by Team Iowa, a group out of, I think, Northwest. The main presenter was out of the northwest corner of the state. And she was a good professional speaker. It was a 2-hour presentation, 1-hour documentary called,
It's on YouTube.
it might be, no, I think it's on a purchase. You can purchase a view of it, but it's a real world problem, and no town based on size is exempt from it. It's supply, inventory, and customers are the problem.
To piggyback on 2 things you just talked about, remember when you're staying for county business, if you're gonna claim reimbursement for your hotel, that you have to check that Department of Public Safety website, make sure the hotel has their current certification for human trafficking trading. Was the county cannot reimburse that expense.
I hope ISAC checked it, but.
Well,
we'll double check.
there was a lot of talk on the auditor's message board that a couple of the hotels that have been certified in the past hadn't redone their certification, and that there were many county officials that had reservations at hotels that weren't going to be reimbursable. So make sure you, or you just stay on your own dime. I mean,
What's the website?
Tony has that, doesn't he?
Yes, the Department of Public Safety. Well, yeah, but if you stay there and submit a claim and then he has to deny it, that doesn't help
Right.
you. So if you need to check it ahead
Ahead
of
of
time, so you know if you're gonna be able to be reimbursed.
Otherwise, call Tony and he could tell us.
And he can look it up, I think, just as,
Department of Public Safety.
I think it's Department of Public Safety and it's, I don't remember. I've used the website. I basically Googled Iowa Department of Human Safety and human trafficking certification or something like that. And there's a website that lists the ones that are currently certified. And must be something they have to do every so many years, because that's why some of them not redone what they need to do.
Well,
So,
with the changing in staff. I'm
Yeah.
sure, Yeah, recertification makes sense.
Somebody called the hotel or somebody said, oh, save this one.
yeah, one of the ones.
And it's not.
And it's not. And so whether that hotel is working on trying to get their certification last minute, or if they're gonna lose a whole bunch of people, are not gonna have
That,
either.
Negotiates lower prices for blocks of rooms for the conference. So I'm hoping they
Yeah,
did
well,
their homework.
It's not that.
I'll double check.
It's probably not those. There's only 2 or 3 though on those, and there's a lot of hotels in that vicinity that people use because those always fill up.
Right.
So,
It's also state basketball tournament down there this week, so it'll be crowded.
Prices are.
I'm tempted to pay the upgrade to go higher up in the building than you're gonna be going.
then when you get on the elevator and every button is pushed, so then you gotta wait.
That's when you take the steps.
Not up.
I've had that happen before during
Yeah.
those times.
All right. One other thing I had was timers. What do you think about that for the public hearings? Put one above each one of the clocks. Where you can hit, say if it's 3 minutes and someone gets started, you hit the 3 minutes. That way they have a visual they can look at too. They know how long they have left. You're not cutting anybody off short, you don't want to get accused of cutting anybody off short, or letting someone run 6 minutes long, which isn't fair to the rest of the people either.
I actually think it's not a bad idea to have one above this clock.
And, well, that one too, for like me sitting here, I can never see that clock, either there or back there.
Well, you put a mirror over here so you can look and see that.
Yeah, I'll be backwards. But I'm just an idea. I mean, we've done a few of the upgrades here with sound system and everything else, and I think that would be pretty.
You gotta
minimal.
make sure you have somebody allocated just for that. And it can't be one of us, because it's hard to be a good listener and pay attention while you're also trying to run a computer or run a timer. It has to be somebody other than us.
Hopefully it's something like that would just run the timer. Yeah.
Just push the button. and
Just push
it
a
does
button
itself.
and it starts and then hit reset. and-
Most of those have like a yellow light that'll start flashing.
Maybe you want to coordinate with John Lukey, be to say, I mean, if you're the one running it, what you kind of thinking
Sure.
about.
Just see what kind of options are out there and then I'll bring it back. and let you guys
I
know
think
before
that'd
we
be
do anything, but
It takes the ambiguity out of it.
yes. Just keeps the flow going. and
You
you're
can
not-
always let somebody talk more. but
Yes, you can, or give them a second chance, whatever. That way, everybody has a chance.
Do you have any budget things you wanted to bring up?
No.
Mentioned that last week, that if you were going to talk about Dan Marks's email, could be under budget discussion. Maybe you don't want to bring it up, that's fine.
No, probably not.
Okay.
That's a name. I got so many check marks on here, I can't tell what I was looking at and what I. For that, I have nothing else.
Are we going to table that discussion or leave it where we left it off for the budget discussion in the
I guess
first
this
place?
point you leave it where it is unless somebody wants to bring it up as a budget discussion item again.
Do you want to add it to Mondays so that it's on the schedule?
Good idea.
We can always
Add it to Mondays
defer it.
because it's not on today's schedule.
Because
Under budget.
Dan said he would bring it up under budget discussion.
Budget discussion. so.
Do you
Let's
want?
put it under miscellaneous for next week. That way, it doesn't look like you're trying to hide anything either. I mean, it's right there on the agenda.
That's a good idea.
Motion to adjourn.
You're always jumping at that.
You're always ready to go.
Second.
We have a motion and second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's hasn't been adjourned.
Take a trip down to recycle.
Out there fighting.
You're on.
donuts.
Oh, you do?
Thank you all.
Where'd you find donuts?
Going very smooth. I got them at pieces.
Jeff found, Jeff said this morning he found a roll of those flaps, they go on the conveyor belt. He can have. So he's gonna try it, he's not ordered the belt yet.
No, when
But he is gonna contact,
I got it checked.
he's going to contact, Harmony, to come out, take a look.
I told him on Friday, I said, I think he should wait.
Ropes.
Them come down and look. Because putting a belt on the machine is almost nothing.
But I don't.
Really, it's gonna be catch Randy.
Ben,
Yeah.
Tony wants,
And it's.
we just need to rekey the lock session. I don't know what Tony's idea is, why it's a safety meeting, but why we're putting recycling. Doing the locks down there and put that on hold. We've got
Till 3 o'clock.
5 exterior doors. We need one key.
You're talking about recycling.
I'm talking about recycling.
Oh,
We don't want a fob system. We got a lot of places to spend money down there. We don't want to do it on a fob system.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure, right now, nobody knows where the keys are.
Right, and that's all come up after the first request. So I got grouped together, because the first request was at community service building, whether they should give a key to the fire department. For that email. And so then that came up at the board meeting and they said, well, let's have the security committee talk about it. And we've just been throwing all these key questions into that one agenda.
Yeah, the only thing we just want to get those.
Yeah.
We want to get control because there are so many.
Yeah.
No one has any idea.
We don't know who all that
We
from.
just want one key. It doesn't need to be master key. It just needs to be a key.
And there's non-employees that have keys.
Oh, yeah.
We
Including
just want him to
Malcolm.
do it without.
I would think that, that there's nothing wrong with Jeff going ahead and doing it. If he doesn't want to try to get it grouped in with I think there may be some advantage to having it still have Roger do it, that it's under our same master key system, so that,
No, we would have Roger do it.
yeah,
Roger can do it.
and it would still be a master key situation, but then you could have recycling specific keys that they could issue.
Waiting.
Well, you only really need to probably master key the front office door and leave the rest of them on single key.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is gonna, you don't need to go to the expensive master key and 2 sets of pins to do that. So just master key the front door.
Then so I think Jeff should just talk to Roger, and take care of it.
Because he had him all lined up to go, because he wants to get that taken care of.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, we know that Lonnie's probably still got keys and we don't need all that.
Yeah, well, I think Loxton still had a key too. Last week.
And so does Malcolm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We need to.
There are only 2 supervisors left, so you can shut off the recording.
Which is great.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Jeff couldn't just do that.